First I picked up, whoa, I am doing my big A Song of Ice and Fire here, and I picked up the second book in A Song of Ice and Fire, A Clash of Kings by Mr. George R. Martin. If you've not heard of this, I have no hope for you. I have no hope for you. So what I found, let's start by what's interesting for me is how this is really where the first book, A Game of Thrones, and the first season of the TV show really followed along close to each other. Not exactly, but it was close to each other in the story. And like this one, Clash of Kings, and season 2, which is the Game of Thrones, they start to veer off a lot. There's a lot. The way the events play off yet compared to how it played off in the second season are very different. Very, very different. Which was kind of fun. It made us a very enjoyable read. Not knowing everything that's going to happen and not knowing how the things that you kind of know going to happen, how it's going to play out, because it's playing out in very different ways. I will say, now the question is, do I prefer this over the first book? Do I think this? I do actually. I do actually, and I think the thing that pushes this over is the two new points of views we get is from Davos and Theon. And Theon, it's like the guy, hate the guy. It's a really compelling and interesting story, and the events, and yeah, and to see what happens to Theon as during this book, really, really interesting. And that's what Davos might not necessarily, Davos is really kind of a stand-in, and he's a guy you like, you do like Davos, but it's the people he's around in that section. Like Stannis is such an interesting character, Melisandre, really fascinating, and just seeing that plot, and it gives so much more to the story. And then the other guys, like, yeah, Tyrion is crushing it, Jon is having fascinating time. Arya's storyline, that was so great in this, and it's so much more than what we got in the TV show. I really liked it. And then there's like characters you don't see a lot, but the moment they have like a moment on screen where they, because they're not a point of view character and you basically don't show up except for like one scene, but that scene where they show up, and you know this is a character that becomes way more important in the future. These characters just come off the page and they just like, they blow your mind. How George builds this, like, in all these pieces he puts like it, and it's slowly tick, and then tonight one falls over and this one because this one chopped him, and how it all builds up to the end. The speed at which you can read the George R. Martin book, because they're this thick boys, and yet I did it in like, while I was reading other stuff, I still finished in like 20 days, right? It shouldn't be like, especially there at the end. I finished like the last 2 days. I read like 170 pages. I think maybe a little bit more on the last 2 days. And the last day was 70 pages because there was only 70 pages left. And that's just a master storytelling with great writing. Like, yeah, I really enjoy this. I'm starting to think maybe this show's problems, although it was still a good show at that point, maybe its problems started earlier than we think, because it was letting out, so many of the great things that were happening here was not showing up in the show, and they were clearly gonna have impacts later on, and now you can't follow those threads anymore. And I am having such a great time. It is A Song of Ice and Fire is everything as advertised them all. It really is. There was somebody I saw gave it a 1 star, and I was like, nah, I am unfollowing you on Goodreads, because I can believe that you didn't like it, but there's no way you can say it's a 1 star. George's writing, and even the way he puts out a plot, and his characters are way too interesting for just a 1 star. You can give it a 2 star if you didn't like it, but you cannot give it a 1 star. I gave it a 5 star because this is awesome. Love the final battle. The Hound. Really enjoyed Hound. If anybody got Sansa feels like she got a little bit sidelined, because Sansa was so interesting in the first, but she gets but the thing she sees, especially later on, is really interesting, and seeing from her point of view some stuff, like, yeah, really good. That's, yeah, no man, A Song of Ice and Fire. I am having such a great time. It deserves to be on the top of a lot of people's fancy list. I understand why it's there. I understand why it is there. Pick it up, get into it. It is really easy to read. It's, except for books that big, you just go, you fly through. You fly through.